I am Alex, joined by joined by Joseph. I don't know why that was such a
James Joyce.
Yeah.
This is the most postmodern round you'll see today.
For sure. So we have a match that some of you might love and some of you might absolutely despise.
I want you all to know that Simo from across the room looked at me dead in the eye and said, "You are going to hate me," and he was correct.
So we have Mystic Mine going to be our round 3 feature match, and it's going to be going up against pure Orcust here. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I think both players actually already dealt their hands out. So what can we say about these decks? Well, Orcust, I mean, obviously one of the best decks of the format. Clearly.
What can we say that hasn't already been said? Why? How was this allowed to happen? These players are undefeated, right? Oh, boy.
Orcust starting off is definitely good for the Orcust player. I will say that.
I'm mugging for the camera, but I absolutely love Mystic Mine. I think it's a strategy that deserves special attention that was never really paid to it because so many players wrote it off as just a ridiculous, sacky piece of uninteractive garbage.
I mean, I think it's impressive that Jeff is actually playing Mystic Mine when Metaverse is now at 1. Granted, the mine is still,
right
in the game, but Metaverse was kind of like the reason.
Whoa, and was that a complete brick from Nigel? Is that Brass Bombard?
He's got Valor Ash, Brass Bombard. Is that a Crescendo?
It looks like. Wow, that's not very good at all.
Okay, yeah, both these players are 2-0. Do keep this in mind. They were at table.
Oh, wow. Okay, already so much to say. These players are 2-0. They were at table 2, you said?
Table 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mystic Mine is a deck that really particularly deserves consideration as a win condition and not as just like this weird alt-win that exists exclusively in Sky Striker. It's akin to, if you've played any Magic the Gathering, Lantern Control in Modern. And the way it gets to its win condition is by activating Mystic Mine, and while early people thought something like Wave Motion Cannon was going to be the way to win the game, the more effective way, Field Barrier, is Goddess Skuld's Oracle, which allows you to sculpt the top of your opponent's deck. It not only prevents them from ever accessing their answers unless they drew them in their opening hand or have ways to shuffle their deck in their opening hand, which routinely they do, but it also means that you are going to win the game by deck out. So if you can cheese through a game 1 because your opponent doesn't have the tools necessary to deal with about 6 must-destroy spells and traps, you can walk away with the match after a particularly grueling first one.
Not to mention, with all these combo decks being in the format, there's the Wave Motion Cannon.
Well, okay.
Yeah, with all the combo decks being in the format, wouldn't the mine...
Wait.
Yeah, wouldn't the mine trigger here? Or wouldn't the Field Barrier...
Oh, the Field Barrier, I see. That's frustrating. Yeah, that's almost an unstoppable combo. How on earth do you out that?
I was going to say, does that work? It just like completely mitigates
I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay.
I think Field Barrier says cards in the field spell zone can't be destroyed. I'll check real quick.
Okay. While we do that...
It's been a couple of minutes since I've read, extreme playable Field Barrier.
And now we see a left arm offering.
You know what? Fine. I think you get Goddess Skuld's Oracle here. Mystic... Yeah. So the Wave Motion Cannon is going to win the game. You just have to prevent your opponent from finding an answer for 8 turns. And Skuld is really good when your opponent is telegraphed. They have no possible way to do anything with their deck.
Yeah, it's got a Skuld's Oracle. Just like I love this inclusion of this card in this deck because this is a Valkyrie support card that no one thought was going to do anything, and here it is in the Mystic Mine deck. I'm just still impressed that we're still seeing Mystic Mine even with Metaverse going to 1. But you have to think that Solemn Judgment's at 3.
Yeah. So Mystic Mine, field card spells cannot be destroyed is what Field Barrier says, and neither player can activate a new one, which is great news for Orchestrated Babel. No, I think that the rise of incredibly powerful answers like Solemn Warning means that this deck has teeth that it didn't before, or like Solemn Judgment, rather. Previously, it was on things like Dark Bribe to out pesky Twin Twisters, and I don't need to tell you how much more powerful than Dark Bribe Solemn Judgment is. Don't do it. Don't make the mistake. Okay, just making Galatea here.
Yeah, Galatea is going to allow him to still have access to a extra monster zone, and he's just going to go ahead and pass. There's really not much he can do here.
So Crescendo is online, notably, but it doesn't do a whole ton.
Well, it can stop this extravagance, potentially. I mean,
frustrating. Do you fire it here?
I mean, at this point, what else are you scared of? Like, do you wait to, find your out and then have your Crescendo for that?
I think you probably activate the Crescendo because it represents an ability to shuffle your deck. So your opponent
That's
has got a
true.
Skuld's Oracle. They Fate Seal you, and then you're able to get out of the lock by shuffling your deck with the Grave Effect of Crescendo. Nigel, of course, not electing to do that.
I think they're just double checking the counters on Wave Motion Cannon there. They might have missed one.
Ugh.
But, you know, I love that this is actually happening. And
Oh, whoa, hold up.
Wait.
There was an
There
extravagance
was an
activated
extravagance.
this turn.
Oh. We should... Yeah, we should go quickly before they can go ahead and fix that, because we saw the cards that were drawn. Joseph's just going to quickly run over to the feature match area just to make sure. There you see him talking to the judge. We just want to make sure, just because we have quick access.
It's your boy, Extravagance Reader. Oh, my. And the judge, by the way, confirmed that he did see the cards that were drawn off of Card of Demise.
Yeah.
So a very reparable game state.
They're going to fix it, yeah. If we didn't have the judge there, I would say that's definitely irreparable.
You shuffle your hand a couple of times.
Yeah. But luckily, the judge was sitting there, so...
The Joseph run, I got to stay in shape, man. I've been eating this disgusting batch of con nachos.
Yeah, we're just going to pass, which that's all Jeff needs to do. Jeff feels perfectly fine with that.
And then a pass
Not
from...
just going to pass.
Oh,
Take up Wave
get out
Motion
of the
to
game,
four.
Nigel. Don't stay in.
What is Nigel waiting? If you are Nigel, what are you waiting for in this instance?
I have no idea.
Because like even
you're not going to get it off the top of your deck.
Exactly. You would need to have. Okay, let's say hypothetically Nigel is running like 3 Twin Twisters. He would need all 3 copies of that to immediately hit the top of his deck, so that Goddess Skull could not put any of them on the bottom.
And he needs to do it now. Like, if Jeff can just wait until he has 8 counters on Wave Motion Cannon, oh, come on. Here's the Crescendo.
Okay, I think Crescendo forces. But what? I wonder what Jeff called. With what would you be most?
What would I
scared of at
say
this
would
point?
probably be Twin Twister.
Right, because like there'd probably be nothing else in the main deck.
And
That
Twin Twister isn't really great. You just get, what, Field Barrier and Wave Motion Cannon?
Yeah,
Scald?
I mean, yeah. If anything, it buys you time. And we're going to see Judgment on the Crescendo. Would you just scoop it up? At that point?
I would absolutely scoop it up.
I mean, I think we would have scooped it up a while ago.
Like,
to
if
be
you're
fair.
Nigel, you can't stay in this game. Jeff can actually just extend it literally forever. There's nothing demanding that he activate Wave Motion Cannon. And if he has a couple of pieces of redundancy, you know, even 3 Twin Twister on the top, that's going to be something he can plan for specifically.
I think the most tragic part about this is the fact that Nigel actually went first, but bricked. So, like,
Any hand that included the full Orcust combo would have done it.
I mean, he wouldn't be in this exact position, but
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't say that like he'd be dominating this game, but at least he'd have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see the Card of Demise.
This is the point in the game that I love getting to as the Mystic Mind player. Like, you're Card of Demising for a single card in hand, and it's game-winning. All right, and just discarded his whole
He just dumped
hand.
the whole hand. He didn't even
What a
care.
hero.
Well, he had a redundant copy of Mystic Mind.
Yeah. And,
Game 2.
Okay, thank goodness.
Concessions.
Nigel, you got to get out of these.
Jeff going to take Game 1 there.
Oh, my. Tell me we get to see this person in top 16.
I mean, I don't know if the Twitch chat would appreciate it, but I know I would appreciate seeing Mystic Mind in top 16.
Twitch chat, sound off. Do you want to see top 16 Mystic Mind?
Imagine if Jeff goes 8-0 in this tournament.
I'm trying my hardest to do so. I'm trying to attract it like the secret.
So, I mean, this shows that, like, I guess Mystic Mind is, like, still a deck? Kind of?
No. First of all, probably not. But second of all, you know, it still does kick the teeth out of individuals who fail to respect it. The one thing, as someone who played a lot of Mystic Mind because I am a masochist, one of the things that people fail to understand about the deck is that while it performs really well in like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro compilations and on Dueling Book singles, it really has a tough time picking up a single sideboarded game.
Yeah.
Literally every deck has so many cards to board out, things like Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, that can just immediately slot into, oh, I don't know, for example, Twin Twisters, Red Reboot, Evenly Matched, the multitude of spell and trap destruction that exist in the format, and they lose no ability to interrupt their own linear combo to do so. So their deck is even stronger than it was the first game, and yours can't possibly get any better.
Right, because it's essentially a situation where you're playing all your best cards just to stave off your opponent so that you pretty much can allow your Wave Motion Cannon to resolve or
Right.
Mystic Mine them and they don't have an out. But
Right.
when people neglect to realize is that you play more games in your sideboard than without. And
Right.
in everyone's sideboard are the aforementioned cards. So it gets very difficult. I mean, what are you going to be what are you going to be putting into your side deck that you weren't already previously main decking? Because you're already playing stuff, you're already playing stuff like Dark Bribe, because you're trying to like ensure that your Mystic Mine or any of your other cards resolve. So you're already playing like these weird kind of like techie cards regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how this game 2 plays out.
So personally, I would say in the sideboard of Mystic Mine, I'd be playing things like Dark Bribe, Prohibition, Field Barrier, really bad, awful cards that get much better when you know your opponent is going to board into like 9 pieces of spell and trap destruction. However, Jeff was maining those, so I have no idea what's in the board. He just boarded in like 12 cards, so obviously something.
Can we also just respect the fact that Jeff came here with his son and he's playing in this tournament?
That's actually heartwarming.
Yeah.
I imagine being the father of a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and they're like, "Dad, do you want to play Yu-Gi-Oh?" And you go, "Yeah, absolutely. What's an easy deck I can pick up?" And they say, "Well, I do have Mystic Mine." And then here you are on camera.
And you know what? To me, I think that's one of the advantages of something like Mystic Mine is that it's very linear.
Yeah.
And from a perspective of someone, if you're an older player, or maybe you can't play these crazy combo decks that end on like 14 negations.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to play to like what you know how to play.
Yeah.
And if that means you have to play a simple a simple control deck that has very minimal interaction, it may not be fun for your opponent or people may look down on you for it, but it allows him to play in a way that he likes to play, and he's 2-0.
He's doing pretty well.
He's about to go 3-0 here, which
Well,
means
let's not. It's for
he's
any
on
of
the path to 3-0.
Yeah, for any of you in the chat who are feeling some kind of way about this deck, one thing that I would say will improve your win rate greatly is recognizing your own faults. And if your fault is you don't have the capacity to play like an unbelievably complicated nonlinear combo deck, own it. Play something like Inspector Border Stun and be the best at it in the world. You will pick up many more games than if you were mediocrely playing Sky Striker.
So Jeff has a lava golem in his hand. Anyway, Nigel went ahead and used Mathematician to send Brass Bombard, which is going to get
Looking all right in this game.
He's going to get the Harp Pour out of his hand, and now he's going to have his combo with Harp in the grave. Interesting, he didn't go for the Phoenix, so maybe this is Nigel.
Whoa, was that a pass?
Was that a pass?
It looked... No, there's no way.
No.
There's no way that's a pass. That's an anti-spell in hand. He's got to at least set the anti-spell.
I'm trying to think if Nigel's trying to like...
I think he's thinking right now about the...
Well, because, okay, why wouldn't you go into normal Orcust comp? Like, is he being cognizant of the fact that we are in game 2 now and the side decks are in play, so, like, maybe he doesn't want to play into something like the Lava Golem that's in Jeff's hand by chance? That could very well be possible.
It's interesting. There is an argument, I think, for playing a more reserved style of gameplay than you would normally play, going all the way full Orcust and then losing to, well, there's no way I'm going to get 4 monsters off my side of the field.
I would agree. It's when you play up against a deck like Mystic Mine or like Chainburn or these like very odd decks, it kind of like forces you to think differently because your normal board isn't going to like work in the same way. And again, with stuff like Mystic Mine, it changes the dynamic drastically.
Yeah, for those of you just immediately writing this off as a misplay, understand that respecting your opponent's linear plan is not a misplay. You saw that in the previous match with the Endymion Guard Dragon deck. Recognizing that you'll have to modify the way in which you play Yu-Gi-Oh! In order to more effectively beat your opponent, even if it doesn't allow you to execute the normal combo that you've like got down pat, is really, really good. And look at this scenario. He's got a crescendo set with 2 monsters, so if he expects his opponent to be playing Kaiju, he'll have to have something better than that. Of course, we know he does. He's got an anti-spell
it's
set.
a double kaiju specifically.
Goodness.
It's not just a kaiju, but
And he's got an Ash in hand. I mean, this is a winning position from the Orcust side of the board that was made possible by a lack of commitment to a full combo that could have been Ashed and ended him on an extremely vulnerable board.
I agree, because now here, I mean, we are seeing Dingirsu here, so I mean, now he only has to take out one. Now he wants to take out the Galatea to turn off the Crescendo,
Right.
hypothetically. But, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. You're guaranteeing to get your one negation that your deck has already online, just to ensure that you're going to have the potential to maybe actually have a fighting chance against this deck. Because, he had Ash Blossom, which Ash Blossom's, good.
So we're going to see the Ash immediately, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll see nothing. That's Standby Phase Anti-Spell.
We're going to see a response.
Oh.
Okay, so here comes Lava Golem.
And, you're a little bit upset if you're Nigel here, of course. But I don't think you're that beat up about it.
I think the anti-spell could carry him, honestly.
There is absolutely no way you are getting locked this turn outside of, Metaverse. You can have an Orcust back as early as next turn because you added with Dingirsu, which means that Crescendo will be live for something like the Metaverse. And you've got an Ash in hand. How scared could you possibly be?
Right, and even so, then it's not too difficult to get your Crescendo back online. You could very easily use that Lava Golem as link material on your next turn. So there's ways to just kind of turn this back around. I really think the anti-spell is going to put a damper on Jeff's ability to play here, because Mystic Mine is has a very high density of spell cards, and a lot of them are very strong.
Look at this. The deck is all spells. That is a Metaverse, you said, however, though Nigel does have an Ash in hand.
With anti-spell up, it won't matter too much, though.
Yeah.
So that's the first problem that Jeff is going to have to deal with here. Looks like he's going to pass turn. Twin Twister coming down.
Discarding the Ash, I like it. Not going to lie.
Now,
I like it very much.
Now, the interesting thing is, if he chooses to pop the Mystic Mine here, Metaverse will have to add.
True.
Metaverse will have to add to hand, but it gets him another copy of Mine to be able to set again for the following turn. It really just depends if Nigel's able to maybe close it out.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. I think I actually probably hit a back row. Yeah.
Well, you don't. You don't know.
I mean, we have perfect information, of course. And he got the Metaverse.
Metaverse and Judgment.
But with a 3,000 attack monster on your side of the field and your opponent sitting on likely a couple of dead spells, I think you can feel pretty confident that you need to be going for the OTK right now.
Sure. So Lava Golem's effect in standby phase is going to trigger. So
notably, that doesn't trigger under under.
Oh, really? Is it just a
Mystic Mine? Because it's an activated effect.
Right. So Nigel will take the 1,000 damage here. Lava Golem, the OG kaiju.
Oh man. Just think of how defining this card was in terms of design space. We've used this effect 4 or 5 times now, all from this one singular monster.
So now we're going to see Symbol Skeleton resurrect the Galatea.
Is that an ulti? Wow, that's pretty.
I believe that needs to go to the main monster zone.
It does.
He might link it off.
We might just be seeing a shortcut into Dingirsu real quick.
Yeah, we'll see if it matters. Okay, looks like he's going back into the extra deck.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to use Galatea's effect first. Okay. Again, we'll see if it matters. He might shortcut here.
Yeah.
But it should be in the main monster zone. So he's going to set the Babel that he cannot...
Eventually.
Eventually he'll get to it.
Can he activate TT now? Yes. If you have previously set spells and then reveal an anti-spell, the previously set spells can be activated without waiting an entire turn cycle. If you're asking if Jeff can activate TT, no.
No.
And importantly, he has no cards in hand, so he wouldn't be able to for that reason.
Looks like the players are both communicating. We actually might see some damage here. Okay,
oh,
so
wow.
we're going to have to fix that Galatea. Again, it doesn't matter at this exact moment, but it will potentially. Do you want to go run over and tell them real quick while we do life points?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So we're going to take 1,800 from the Galatea and then 3K from the Lava Golem. And there comes the Pot of Extravagance. Joseph's going to go just make that minor change with Galatea. Again, shouldn't matter too much that it's in the extra monster zone because it was resurrected off the Symbol Skeleton. For this particular matchup, I don't think it matters too much, but we just want to make sure that everything is good. Okay, and Nigel did that. Joseph is back now. Thank you for that.
Every time Extravagance is activated, it summons me. So that's a sweet card to activate.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to get off of it. More spells, more like. Definitely Nigel put the anti-spell in the side deck with the intention of using it like against Pendulum. And, you know, here we are.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Like, Extravagance is good, but if he's under anti-spell, how many good cards can he actually draw at this point? And he's...
Oh, there's the Mystic Mine.
He's got Mystic Mine, which can just be lose to Crescendo right here. So
please activate Crescendo.
Yeah, so basically what it comes down to is if Nigel uses Crescendo here, right? So then the problem then becomes, does Jeff have another way to get to Mystic Mine to be able to not die on the next turn?
And I think the answer is no. It's got to be like a very particular sequence of cards.
Well, because Metaverse is gone because it got hit by Twin Twister. Demise of the Land is a spell.
Right.
So that wouldn't do anything unless that happens to be Jeff's like last set, which I don't believe that it is. And it looks like they're just going to go to Game 3. Okay,
all right.
Game 3. So Jeff has recognized that he's going to lose to his own Lava Golem, which does happen.
You know, it happens a lot. It's happened to me several hundred times. This is kind of how we expected the games to play out. It's very hard to win a boarded game, and it's even more hard when your opponent knows what you're up to and can plan accordingly, prioritizing Crescendo and things like that.
But now our Mystic Mindburn player here does get to go first.
You know what's really good against anti-spell? Just being on the play.
Yeah, because you have so many more options that are turned on as a result of that. I mean, we already know Jeff has the Solemn Judgment. We know he has Dark Bribe. I'm sure he has, like, Twin Twister, or just ways to out the outs that anyone would have playing against this deck.
Oh, imagine playing Red Reboot in Mystic Mine. Seems pretty good.
So this will be interesting to see here. I'm really curious to know what Nigel's game plan is.
Yeah, I think, you know, you're boarding into as many hand traps as you can. If you've got Droll, it's okay here. Ash, of course, is extremely good.
Any of your combo hate cards do absolutely nothing against this deck.
Yeah.
Which is one of its strengths, honestly, because it's so rogue. People's side decks, aside from the generic spell and trap removal, really is not that effective against it.
It's one of those strategies where, like, yeah, you lose to Twin Twisters, of course, everyone does.
Yeah.
But it does win in such an odd way that it's hard for any, like, strategy that is even scraping meta to assemble a sideboard plan that's even remotely coherent. You know, there's no monsters in the deck. They play stuff like Trap Trick for Ojama Trio. Like, what do you do against that?
Sentences you never thought you would be composing.
Shouts out to Week 1 Dueling Book meta, when people first found out Mystic Mine, where what you would do is in your sideboard include a copy of Link Spider to make off an Ojama token into Cyberse Gardena, or Secure Gardena, because they couldn't wave motion cannon you while it was on your side of the field. It wasn't good. It was just hilarious.
We're always doing it for the memes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Playing spells is good against anti-spell. Debatable.
If you're Nigel, you got to feel good about the fact that there's 18 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
So, like, at least time is not a concern, because this is one deck you do, out of every deck probably in the field, this is the deck you do not want to be going up against in time.
Yeah, you don't want to even, you don't want to be even approaching time.
Yeah.
Because if Jeff can get you in a position where he's locking you with something like the Goddess Skuld's Oracle, then he will. And will just burn you at the latest possible time.
To be fair, though, that's all the more reason that Nigel maybe should have scooped up game 1 a little bit sooner, unless he has outs that we're not aware of.
For what it's worth, he scooped it up pretty quick.
He did. He could have gone quicker, though.
We could have done like 3 or 4 more minutes on the clock here for sure.
But, I mean, that 3 or 4 more minutes may matter.
Why is he setting a bunch of cards? What's going on? Okay,
Demise
there's card of
first.
Demise.
Okay.
He says, okay, sure, fine.
He's wanting to empty his hand. Makes sense.
It's a little weird because, like, you don't really want to activate Mystic Mine first turn unless you can draw into, like, a field barrier, which I think Jeff is trying to do.
Right.
Quick look at his hand. I saw Prohibition. There's a Dark Bribe?
I think that's a Dark Bribe.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you just fire off the Prohibition?
I think you fire off the Prohibition, but I don't know how you assemble a Mystic Mine, right?
Right.
Like, you have one, but it'll destroy itself.
Right, and now the problem is that it's on the field.
This is where something like a Lilith would be insane.
Okay, he's going to Prohibition. I wish I knew what they were Prohibitioning.
It's got to be Twin Twister.
It's got to be Twin Twister. That's the most generic out. Maybe evenly matched.
What if he says Galatea?
Well, If you Prohibition Galatea, you don't. Well, you have to make a long gear suit to access your Crescendo, but like, does that matter?
Ooh.
I want to say Twin.
Yeah, it's Twin.
I feel
for
like
sure.
it's Twin. Yeah. This is one of those things where we need them to have a piece of paper to write down. To be fair, though, I don't know. I can't remember the last time I saw.
What
oh,
is
Orchestrated
that?
Return.
I love this. I can't believe Orcust players aren't playing this card.
Very good.
As a third target for Galatea.
It's typically a one-off, but it's nice in this instance because it's going to let Nigel draw a couple more cards. Gets his Nightmare in the grave, which is very significant.
I hear that's all right.
Yeah. And it gets, in this particular instance, it's so powerful because getting 2 cards deeper to possibly find your outs to this board is so good.
So while Orcust is exceptionally powerful at finagling its way into winning positions, it's not very good at actually winning the game in one turn, especially when you draw Brass Bombard.
Which Nigel has done all 3 games.
3 in a row. How many brass is this guy on?
I'm not sure. But
It's got to be 4.
we're going to see Orcust Nightmare activate its effect, banishing itself from the grave. So we're going to see a send of an Orcust card here.
And of course, it's going to be Harp Horror.
Of course.
Banish Harp Horror for Brass Bombard, overlay for Sylvan Princess Sprite.
You just got to be so terrified, too, at the fact that, like, any play you can do could just immediately be hit by Solemn Judgment.
Yeah, if you Judgment the Galatea, you know, you can't special summon it back from the graveyard, and the turn is effectively over. Then Jeff's able to activate Mystic Mine, provided you've got an extraneous material on your side of the field, and that's all she wrote.
If you're Jeff, you got to feel good from the perspective of no Orcust players siding Denko.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least you know that that's not a threat.
Yeah.
Which, because that's like, I'd say that's probably a bigger blowout than Twin Twister 90% of the time. But
so, Brass Bombard's a tuner, isn't it?
it is. So, and I believe it's a level 1, so we could see a Savage Dragon potentially here.
With no links in graveyard. God, I wish.
Ooh, what? Omega?
Nah, it'll just be a Galatea, probably. Or a Phoenix. Phoenix would be good. Phoenix pop the Prohibition.
Galatea.
Nope, just Galatea.
Okay. Also, too, the way you know he didn't synchro, people typically do the shuffle of the 2 cards to make the synchro motion.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like the
The universal.
I'm synchro summoning.
I build the overlay network. That's Xyz.
You play one, you take your one of your materials and like scoop it under the other, and that's like how people always synchro summon. It's so, I don't know, it's just something people have always done.
Oh, for those of you saying Boral Sword Dragon in chat, it is quite difficult for Orcust to just blind make Boral Sword, especially into a board of 5 set cards.
Yeah.
I think going into Boral Sword is one of the very few ways in which Nigel actually loses this game.
So we're going to grab the Babel here. Does that mean he already has Crescendo?
I hope so. I
Here
think of a
comes
different
Babel.
way.
All the Orcust effects are now quick effects.
Brass Bombard's Grave Effect. When was the last time you saw that activated? There is a Crescendo in hand, yes.
Okay, so he's going to banish that, gets a special summon an Orcust from the hand. He's going to go Symbol Skeleton. That's one of the nice things about Bombard is that it gets cards like that out of your hand.
Isn't he locked into Darks? Oh, yes. The combo started with Orchestrated Nightmare. You're correct.
So now he's on Long Gearsu.
We're doing a Dingarisu play this turn, right?
I would imagine, which we do now see.
Where's this going?
See, he's going to send the Does he have the card that he called with Prohibition?
No way.
No. Oh, the thing is we don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
If he just, like, untaps and fires a Twin Twister, oh, that'll be so upsetting.
Oh, are we about to see Twin?
Jeff's got to have at least one piece of
Nigel,
Stone
if you notice his body language, he sat up as soon as that Prohibition went to the graveyard. That's indicative to me that Nigel has...
He's got to have something.
He's got to have something, yeah.
Being careful not to play in the impermanence column, I think, here.
It's the Twin.
Yeah, there it
He
is.
had it. Oh,
Whoa.
my God.
First of all, great Prohibition. And Jeff goes, yeah, it resolves.
Now,
kind
does
of
Jeff have Solemn Judgment? Oh, no, he has Dark Bribe, doesn't he? I thought we saw
a Dark Bribe, right?
I believe we did. So Dark
He's
Bribe.
thinking about it real quick. There are scenarios in which you let this resolve, right?
There are.
He's
because-
not hitting the Mystic Mine, which makes me think maybe he has a second one? And if that's the case, you really need the Dark Bribe.
Yeah. So if you have the one Twin to bait out the first Bribe, he could also draw into another Twin.
A couple of cards he doesn't care about losing,
Okay,
to be honest.
That's a left arm offering, and I do not know the other, but it's a spell, whatever it is. If he has a second Twin Twister, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
I see a spell.
Oh, he's thinking about it. It is Twin, but the other card is Crescendo, which, of course, is, I hear it's pretty good. There's just a
That's
deep
tough.
sigh out of Nigel. So if there is a Dark Bribe set, going for Twin over Crescendo does lose you the game.
I think he's not going to. I think he's going to go with the Galatea. Okay, so yeah, we're going to take some damage here. So he's
We're
going to
doing Battle Phase first.
So 18 from the Galatea, 26 from the Dingirsu. I think what he's going to do is...
All right, time's up, dude. Make a decision.
I think he's going to set the trap, potentially, and then he's going to wait to draw for Twin, and then you can Twin, and then you have the counter trap to stop. Oh, no, but then Mystic Mine. Oh, no, maybe, no, because think about it. If you have the trap, you could potentially Spell Speed 3 stop. Oh, no, but Dark Bribe's a
Yeah,
counter
it's
trap.
a counter
too.
trap
So
as well.
it doesn't matter either. Ugh.
It looks like he is going for the Orchestrated Nightmare route, or the Orcust Crescendo route.
I like the idea of having a
He says,
protected-
okay, do you have it?
I like having the protected Twin
Yeah,
Twister
I
here.
do have a Dark Bribe. But guess what? He's going to have a card in hand for that Twin Twister.
That's so rough. If he had one extra card in hand, this...
Oh, he's gonna draw it off Dark Bribe.
No, but you can't resolve it.
Well,
Because
he can fire it afterwards.
He can fire it afterwards, yeah. So now he can Twin pop the mine. But does Jeff have another way to stop it? So technically, this might still work in Nigel's favor.
He says, pass back. Nigel goes, you know what?
Did Jeff not? Oh,
He
he
just
has
passed,
one. He just
yeah.
has a card in hand, right?
Yeah. What would that set card have to be to out this?
Dark
Another
Bribe.
Dark Bribe, a Solemn
Judgment.
Judgment, a Dark Sacrifice. Are they on that yet? Well, we're going to
Okay.
link summon a Longarisu.
Okay. Possibly. Okay.
There's the man.
Longirsu.
Oh, it was a
there
return.
Okay.
Oh, my
Return can go
goodness.
from the field.
Oh, you have to find Twin Twister right now. Oh. It's going to look real quick.
Jeff just want to double check that. Yes, return can send from the field.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough.
It's a pretty good card.
Now Nigel was quick to draw his cards there.
So he's playing multiple returns.
Seal.
No way.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
God. Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell will negate the orchestrated return and prevent him.
I'm losing my mind. There's no way.
That's incredible. Now, the downside to this, though, is that there's no monsters on the field, so he's going to pass turn. Mystic Mine's going to destroy itself.
No.
So,
Oh. You hate to see it, folks. If he had just not activated Curse Seal, he would have won the game.
No, because orchestrated return, is it cost? If it's cost, he would have lost it anyway.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right. So the thing is, he would have had no monster regardless. Nigel could have ended his turn.
Oh,
and then
so it's just insurance against if you happen to draw by discarding a card that he'd never be able to use,
Right.
which is Left Arm Offering.
Right. So in this instance, yeah, he wouldn't be able to use it. And the thing is, he's preventing Nigel from drawing extra cards. So I actually think that was. This is assuming orchestrated return is a cost. If it's
Yeah.
not, then yeah, another brass bomber, by the way. So Nigel's on at least 2 copies.
What world have we escaped into? Are we still in the alpha timeline? Can someone check?
Orcust Nightmare is going to send a copy of World 1 to the graveyard. World 1 can then resurrect any of the banished Orcusts, and he might be able to...
It is a cost.
It is a cost.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. Jeff actually made the correct
So
play by
it-
stopping Nigel from drawing cards.
Sorry, chat. We just don't have the cranial capacity to understand the depth of Mystic Mind plays.
No, Jeff made the right move.
He did.
He
No,
did.
it is undeniable.
Yeah, but the thing is now, at this point, unless Jeff has Battle Fader, I think Nigel might have this one in the bag.
Yeah, seems unlikely. Yeah,
And he's
a
going to
handshake.
concede. But you know what? I mean...
You can't be
overall-
mad about that.
No, you cannot be mad about that whatsoever. I think that was it was a good demonstration that Mystic Mind is, still a rogue deck that is out there.
It's great in best of ones. It's so good in best of ones. But sometimes you got to play boarded games.
Yeah, and we saw that